When I was in high school, there was a kid a year ahead of me who I didn't talk to very much. And a year after I graduated, I found out that he and his brother and his other brother and his father went to Tampa for a party. And on the way home, there was a drunk driver who ran a red light, T-boned them, and all four of them died. So the mother, who lost her family overnight, said, I forgive the driver. Now, forgiveness is something that comes entirely from the inside. It has little to do with the outside. While she experienced an absolutely traumatizing loss of her entire family, she was able to find it within herself to not hold on to the grievance. And this is assuming, of course, that her statement is true. I mean, it's very hard to forgive someone who's done something so reprehensible. But nonetheless, there are people who can forgive for things like that. And it's a matter of what you want to feel on the inside. Holding on to grievances for the sake of hurting other people with your thoughts is the most self-damaging thing that you can do, because not only is it hurtful to your heart, hurtful to your soul, it makes you think that you're actually accomplishing something. And it makes you think that by hurting somebody else with your thoughts or your actions that you're achieving something that is good, and it's not. As Mahatma Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. Now, everyone's been taught about forgiveness as a core moral principle, but what isn't taught is that forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is entirely about what you want to hold within your own self, the emotions that you want to experience. A problem that we have in society at large today is that people are highly reactive to the world around them, not in a way that indicates that they're engaged with it in a good way, or connected with it in a good way. They're engaged with it in a way that activates the more negative features such as anger, impulsiveness, jealousy, you name it. And energy spreads. When you're around somebody who's angry, you're not going to like them. Or you'll like them if you resonate with their anger, or if you resonate with the certain things, the specific things that they're angry about, then you guys can both be angry together. But being angry is not even a good feeling. It's a ego boost, but it's something that is also poisonous. So while this woman was able to forgive this person who she never met, who somehow became linked with her and her family history by drunkenly killing all the people in her family, there are other people who get really upset and can't let it go when somebody cuts them off on the road or says something that annoys them, and they can think about it for minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. And this goes to show that this entire life is about what's between the ears. It's what happens inside. And the more reactive you are to the negativity of other people, the more you're helping to contribute to perpetuate that negativity. And if the history of humanity has shown anything, and the history of humanity is neither necessarily good or bad. If you want to look at a history book, you'll see lots of wars and conflicts, and while that's all there, history is designed to show the things that are negative, the outliers, the things that are worthy of note and study. It's not there to talk about positive things, because those things, there are less educational values to derive from that, and it's not as interesting, certainly. So history has been wrought with many, many negative things, hundreds of millions of people dying in wars and awful things like that. And that comes from the agreement of person to person, to person, that if you feel bad, I'll feel bad too, and we'll feel bad together. And it takes someone who is truly strong in character and truly fulfilling the best role that they possibly can to not just the people around them, but to their own selves, to be able to take whatever bad has happened to them and let it go, to move on into the future and not believe that they need to be constrained or contained by the things that they've lost, whether it's valid or not, regardless of the degree of the infraction. There's so much more within your own heart than anything that can happen to you outside. And when people operate like that, the world becomes a much better place. and then you will have to worry less about someone else not forgiving you, if that spreads, and you will be able to let go more easily. And in that way, the actions that people take become more aligned with the better parts of themselves, not the negative parts of themselves. And they're able to live their better instincts because they're less worried about other people, and they harbor less grievance and resentment within their own selves. And when one person does that, it's miraculous for that person, and it can have a significant impact on the people around them. And hopefully, it can get other people to start doing the same thing when they learn from the example of that other person, when they see someone who's gone through something horrific and who's found a way to let it go, and to not just let it go, find a way to make their character better from it, to have the strength-based mentality rather than the victim mentality, that they can find themselves better off after any incident rather than worse off, rather than trapped in the doings of other people or the history of their life and the negative path that they think they're going to be going on. Because ultimately, if something bad happens and you think that you can just brush it off and move forward and have a good life, then there's not that much to be upset about. But when you are very attached to things from the past, and especially if something's been taken from you, and you think that has implications on the future of your life negatively, it becomes a lot more difficult. The beautiful and almost painful reality is that resentment-based mentalities and victim identities, besides never feeling good, never actually get you what you want. They're bad to begin with, and the results they produce are as bad as the quality of the mentality itself. If you take sports, for example, if somebody is just continually beating you over and over and over and over, pouting and thinking that there's an unfair advantage or whatever it may be, that the other guy's cheating, whatever, even if he is cheating, it's not going to help you win. It's going to help you feel better about not winning, but you don't actually feel better, you feel worse because you view yourself as a victim. Now, if you were to, by contrast, use whatever advantages you have and think about how you can creatively beat the other person, you've now summoned the best of your abilities. There's this military guy who gave this great talk about, if you want to be successful, make your bed every day. He talked about how he was 5'5" or 5'6", and he was in the Navy SEAL training regimen with all these other people, and he was on a boat with a bunch of short Navy SEALs, and the tall people would laugh at them and say, haha, you guys are no good. And the short people worked really, 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 really hard and ended up doing better at some of the things than the tall people did. What he says is, it's not your size that matters, it's the size of your heart. Similarly, it's the size of your heart that can end up allowing you to forgive for a truly horrific thing that happens to you, and it's the size of your heart that can end up allowing you to figure out what the best of your assets are and to use them to your advantage. And even if you can gain no advantage, there is truly no advantage in holding on to negative things of the past. They're like hot coals that you hold in your hand for as long as you want. And the minute you choose to drop them, you can. It's not something that you can force, but it's something that you can allow. It's something that wants to leave. No negative thing is destined to stay within you forever. But if you consciously choose to keep it there, so you can. If you consciously say, maybe I don't need to feel this way anymore, it can dissipate immediately, and then you'll forget about it as easily as a bad toothache or a pain in your back or neck that one day goes away and you don't even realize it was there until you think back on it and say, yeah, my neck hurt a lot before. I don't feel it anymore. And you just feel relieved and peaceful. And I think that's what we all want to feel on the inside, and we all have the ability to do it.